Welcome back in. We're jumping right into Champion Select mousesports versus Fnatic Rising. Fnatic were able to take down pretty systematically Asubo, while MOUZ before that looked very strong, even with a different style for leader not being on an assassin against the Wizards.
Yeah, and even though he's off the assassins, you know what? Better be safe than sorry. Fnatic are going to take away the Aphelios. I'm expecting to take a couple other champions off of leader as well.
I just want to see Bravado's Taric one game, guys. Come on!
That's not a thing, because Taric is also boring magical.
But so it's Bravado's Taric. It's different.
I know, but still, Taric is Taric, alright? The problem that I had between Fnatic and MOUZ the previous time is that MOUZ were willing to prioritize leaders Akali no matter what, where they left their Senna matched with a not so strong pick that got instantly punished by Fnatic, and that was the Zilean. Whoa!
Yeah, they raced through this.
That was quick.
Ornn for the side of Pride, with Tolkin immediately saying, "Thank you, I'm going Aatrox," and then Jeskla saying, "I have Aphelios." Senna left open, and we've seen that before. Fnatic have had a lot of priority on that, but there's also the Ziggs that is surprisingly not banned by MOUZ. They're calling out Fnatic, saying, "We dare you to take that," and they don't. They want Kalista instead against Jeskla.
I like the Kalista versus the Aphelios, but see, going for the Senna would have asked them to go a little bit further into the game, so we're talking scaling again. Versus MOUZ, I would like to see a little bit more proactivity coming from Fnatic, because you can play a very quick, clean and methodical game against a team like Asuba, where you can out-macro them, but because I feel like MOUZ are on the same level as Fnatic, you kind of want to play a more proactive early game, where you can try to MOUZ with their backs against the wall and be the one who pulls out the plays. You're not gonna see leaders Azir, but you're most likely gonna see leaders Akali gets locked in. There you go.
Not too surprised to see that Akali. Once I saw MagiFelix get Azir, I'm like, this is where you see a leader every time it's an Azir early locked in, and Akali is left open, grabs it immediately. Makes a lot of sense as we get into the second part of bans. Galio has been taken away, and I am sad to see that. I was actually about to say that could be a pick, a surprise one from Bravado. We saw it before from promisq when they had the Senna Galio bot lane, utilizing an AP build from Galio to be able to get a lot of damage. Imagine that with a Kalista, where you have this Kalista throwing in Galio and guaranteeing that everyone's nearby for your taunt.
Actually, I would have thought the opposite, because Akali and Aatrox are two champions that want to be on top of your backline to get any damage down. Having the Galio around your Kalista and around your Azir is not going to allow any of these two melee champions to deal any damage to your carries. So it's a very clever ban right here from MOUZ. And also, we talked about Dan and how successful he was on that Rek'Sai playing versus Asuba in the previous week, so they don't want to play against that. They don't want to allow the early game shenanigans from the side of Fnatic. Ooh.
Yeah, Poppy, I like this Poppy ban. Poppy is something that is a great counter to Kalista. Just having steadfast presence alone makes it so you can make her no longer a champion. Pantheon, on the other hand, has been something that is at the very beginning of the group stage of the main event. We saw a lot of Pantheon prioritization on bans, where people were really afraid of how he was, but he has fallen off since and hasn't been nearly as high priority. But this is where MOUZ say, all right, we're going to go for the style and show you why. Beforehand, he had been such a critical champion to play.
I'm loving this. They're playing the exact same game right here. It's proactivity. Who's going to get the plays first? Who's going to get that slight little lead where they can push through? Because again, playing that slow, methodical play, they both can do it so well. But when we're talking about proactivity, quick macro mid-game, only one of these two teams can come out victorious. And having such great, strong picks in the mid-game, such as leaders Akali, versus spikes on that Gunblade, and a Pantheon to pair that up with, we might see a lot of roams coming from the previous champions duo.
Yeah, that's what you expect out of Leader, especially now that he's paired up with Obsess and where they're going to go. You have Akali and Pantheon early game. They are going to try to see if they can punish people, but for Fnatic, they have gone back to the tried and true. They have 3 tanks, Ornn, Zac, Nautilus, with the 2 damage dealers out of Azir and Kalista. promisq decides to try to give a little bit more safety to Leader or Obsess when they dive deep into the backline by getting that Morgana.
Ah, so you do go for scaling. Why don't you go for the Senna then? We have to wait and see if this is gonna bite them on their lower bottom later on in the game, because Kai'Sa is a champion that scales in the mid game, so strong at doing that. On the other hand, you do have the Azir, who wants to go super late game and fight in the choke points and be safe behind his 3 tanks, like you mentioned as well. But on the other hand, I do like that Kalista is getting the room to work around and be able to hop, skip and jump, or pull it down, auto attacks, having the Nautilus to stop the Aatrox or the Akali from coming close, having the Zac to do the same, and a lot of peeling from the Ornn. So I want to see if Leader is going to be able to find creative ways to still sneak his way through the backline.
That's what I was going to say. The onus on this game to me feels like it's in MOUZ's pocket. They are the team that is going to decide how this goes. Are they going to be able to get ahead early, utilizing Obsess and Leader, or is it going to be Fnatic, the UK representatives, the #1 seed that were able to reverse sweep when it all had the pressure on them in the finals? They now have gone for scaling to try to survive this early game onslaught.
And we have to keep our eyes peeled on Obsess. He's playing that early game aggressive jungler, and he has a lot of options. You can play a lot around Leader's Akali, you can play around the Aatrox, you can play around the top side, trying to force the Ornn to fall behind. Have a split pusher with your top laner and then pull plays through that, because Pantheon holds a really strong weapon with his ultimate to be able to join a side lane whenever they're in trouble from a big distance. So if you set Tolkin ahead and he split pushes, the second he gets some attention, here comes Obsess to help his top laner.
I'm looking at these Keystones, the summoners, sorry. Look at this. Double exhaust on the side of Fnatic from MagiFelix and xMatty. They're so worried about this early game from Leader and Obsess, where they have gone now for an early invade. Tolkin on top of Obsess to contest this blue buff and take it away.
Ooh, and I love this because it's most likely going to be the full top clear here for Obsess. Get that level 3, go straight top lane, but a very clever ward put down by Pride will alert Dan that there is an intruder in his top quadrant of the jungle. So you might see the Zac trying to invade and grab a blue buff from himself. Not that it's necessarily very crucial for Zac to get the blue buff,
no.
Just so you can take it away from Obsess so he doesn't triple buff himself.
Exactly. And then you have control on the bottom half of the map as well, where double range in the bot lane is going to be hard unless you go for this all-in on level 1. Look at how much damage the Bravado took, though. They got a lot onto Jeskla, sure, but they have to be careful when they're going for these early fights. Same in the top lane for Pride. If you have an Aatrox that can get level 2 over you, you're not going to be able to fight back.
Yeah, and I was watching the Aatrox versus Nasus matchup yesterday. I came to the realization that Aatrox is a mage. Alright, he's not a melee.
Okay.
His spells are way too far away for his body for him to be considered a melee. And a lot of times when I've been asked, what do you think about Aatrox matchups? I'm pretty clear and I'm saying I don't think he necessarily has any hard counters to himself, because even if he gets countered to the point where he plays against them ranged, so he's a melee versus range, he should have the disadvantage, he's still able to CS with his abilities and not lose much in lane. And what did we say earlier? Dan is going to try to deny the triple buff right there and play through his bot side.
Allowed to because of that level 1 fight from xMatty and Bravado, where they got barrier burned by Jeskla, forcing back Aphelios and Morgana. Had that not gotten as successfully, I wonder if they can allow Dan to go for this invade, if they have that pressure or lane priority, because it's even at the moment mid lane from MagiFelix and Leader. Leader would love to be able to rotate immediately and get an early kill.
The reason that I feel like it's even, you see that MagiFelix is not using his mana and he's not pushing his wave. He's pretty immobile and he does not want to give any early kills to the Pantheon or the Akali. So he's playing this slow. He's allowing the Akali to get some room so he can play further back, closer to his tower. And with 3 ranged minions remaining here, this wave will push towards him.
Which is... could give a little bit of room over to the side of leader if he wants to rotate around the map. Say, fine, MagiFelix, you don't want to go too far? That's okay. I see that you have some other people who are a little bit less mobile than yourself. Go down to the bot lane onto xMatty, sure. The Kalista can jump around a lot, but all you have to do is have Obsess, lock him down for a little bit of time, followed up by a Dark Binding. You're not going to be able to move anytime soon. We all know the meme of Dark Binding with Morgana, but imagine that paired up with a Pantheon and damage being rained down from both Jeskla and leader.
Yeah, at this point, you see that all the lanes from Fnatic are sort of playing back. They don't really mind going too aggressive because the Zac is like giving the call, guys, I'm just going to farm my bot lane jungle. So if you could play underneath your tower so no one can dive you, you can't get ganked, that would be fantastic. The only lane who's pushing at this point is Pride because they know that Obsess is towards the bot side of his jungle.
Trying to see if he can fight around that Cloud Dragon, but Dan had been spotted when he went for that Elastic Leap. Trying to see if they can get a little bit more damage. Follow up, I talked about it. If you landed that Dark Binding, it would have been immediately plopped because you can't really get out of that one. Tried to get the spear, but couldn't find the target, and Dan has to run away from that fight.
Oh, great stuff right there. And they can transition possibly to that dragon. Leader's going to go back to base and possibly TP back in. The Aphelios might have a little bit of trouble, but as you can see, Obsess is sneaking through the backside of xMatty and Bravado.
Oh,
and they
spotted
might
out.
try to find a gank here.
Ward there, already placed. Made it so that they couldn't go for that gank to the bot lane instead. Obsess, he has options. Even if the gank doesn't work, immediately can get that dragon because of the play onto Dan. He has to go either to clear his top side of the jungle or back. Either way, he's not going to be in a position to contest Obsess on a Cloud Dragon. Granted, might not necessarily be the highest priority for Fnatic to fight around. Getting ult cooldown is nice and all, but they don't want to give up a lead early to MOUZ. They have to play this one safe because they are about waiting for these front-to-back team fights.
Yeah, absolutely. Where your Kalista is going to shine with a triple tank that you just drafted for her to allow her the space against all these squishes from MOUZ that are going to be diving the backline. This is why I found the Galio ban so genius right there. And you might say, sure, Galio is going up against Magic Resist champions because he wants the shield and all that, but I will disagree here. I find him really great versus any even AD melee champions that want to be diving onto your carry,
right,
because then you just stop instantly all that incoming damage and you allow your carry do their own thing without being scared to stand still and auto attack. And the Kalista doesn't even stand still to auto attack, so it's even better for her.
Plus, even if you draft Morgana, Black Shield is only onto one person. You can't save everyone if you have a Gallio tossed into your backline that's going to be able to get a 5-man taunt.
True.
So right now,
That is what Galio is there for. Any tourists in the chat. That's what Galio is there for. Is there to provide the room, but Nautilus does the exact same thing, minus the taunt, and also provides you with some hard engage. So I do really like the tools from Fnatic, and Pride right here, I think he's had enough of toying around with the Aatrox. He's like, you've bullied me enough in this lane, I'm gonna hit back.
Bramble Vest makes it hard for Tolkin to actually be able to hit back on Ornn, since you can always build items, get tankier and tankier. Tolkin learning the hard way that dealing with Ornn, when you went for Cole to be able to scale into late game, might not necessarily work out too well, because Ornn now is going to have a lot more damage he can deal to you. Even popping Worldbender, they're going for a 1v1 fight, flashing away, but here comes Pantheon. Flash from Pride, but flash forward from Obsess, looking for first blood onto Pride.
And what did we say at the start? The second you set up Tolkin on a side lane and allow him to get some breathing room and start split pushing if he's in trouble, Obsessed with his ultimate could be near enough to join and save the day. And that's exactly what happened right there. You saw that Tolkin is not necessarily having the best day in this top lane. He should have been further ahead, but he's choosing to go for that scaling himself to try and be a bigger nuisance in the backline of Fnatic later on into the game. But the Pantheon, who has seen a kill that early on, can play this early game, proactive game that we were looking for.
With this, they're going to be able to get Rift Herald, pop that somewhere. They have a little bit of control in that top side of the map, but I think that they want to prioritize taking away from xMatty and Bravado. Those are, you already mentioned before, this Kalista having 3 tanks to be able to sit right in front of her is going to be something you need to make sure is not coming online. Not able to do what she does best, which is throw out spears, control objectives, and win a macro game.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering what the next step for Obsess is. I'm looking at summoners around the map, and the one that I'm seeing being very vulnerable is Pride again. And as you can see, Obsess is still towards the top side of the map. He's pretty low, so I'm expecting to see him slowly but surely move towards that bot side, because in a minute and a half there's yet another dragon spawning, and if MOUZ can stack these dragons early on, that means Fnatic at some point are gonna have to come out of hiding and try to fight for them.
Which is partly why I think Obsess might start venturing a little bit away from Pride. Well, yes, not having a flash onto Ornn is an easy target for you to punish. It is still Ornn, and you are still Pantheon. Eventually, he's going to have enough armor to be able to eat a lot of your cosmic spears, or comic spears. I always forget what they changed the name to. They made him all starry and stuff when they gave him his update. But either way, it makes it so that Obsess might want to have to prioritize towards the bottom half of the map to be able to get closer to the Dragon Soul.
Yeah, and you see how Obsess is scouting around to try and potentially find Dan in his own jungle, or set up a dive for that Ornn, who just used his ult to clear the wave.
Wants to clear the wave. He wants to stay safe. He knows what's about to happen. Here is Shelly, popped in the top lane. Leader was even pathing here. Pride, you didn't back off quick enough, and they are looking to see if they can kill you underneath your turret, utilizing Shelly's charge, getting so many turret plates to get the damage, but no knockup comes in for Pride. MagiFelix, too little, too late to be able to save his top laner, but will at least keep the turret alive.
Yeah, and this is a double-edged sword, right? Because MagiFelix had to go all the way to the top side and walk there when there's a huge wave building up that's gonna push towards Leader. So Leader doesn't lose any of that XP, any of that gold. He can just walk back into his lane. So it's Fnatic falling further behind, and MOUZ are now trying to get some control of the bot side Riva, because Obsess is close enough to pull the trigger with his ultimate.
Right. I was about to say, he didn't use the Grand Starfall in top lane. He held on to that. There is a good possibility. Here it is. Pop, but too little, too late. Here comes promisq into the back line. Can they get the fight that they need to? They're getting a lot of damage. They cornered them all into the pit, making sure that nobody's going to be able to escape this one. But xMatty was able to get enough damage on the sideline. Finally, Leader knocks him down, jumping onto Bravado, but he's zoned away for now. MagiFelix could keep his support alive, but Tolkin, all he has to do is land one more Darkened Blade to get him. He will get back underneath the turret, stay alive. Comic Spear goes wide. There's going to be the dragon and a kill onto xMatty, traded for just one kill on the other side.
And I feel you take these if you're Fnatic, you take the dragon and you get out. Now, of course, in a very chaotic fight like this, the one that's gonna come out on top is, of course, going to be that assassin in the hands of Leader. Because look at that, Fnatic is choked into the middle by all members of MOUZ. Tolkin still has his teleport up and available, while on the other hand, Pride had to burn his due to him dying earlier on. But you can trade 1-for-1 heal, take the dragon. Now it's after this, what did MOUZ take on top that might make it worth for them? And the answer is nothing, because meanwhile this was going on, Pride goes towards the top side, he takes a plate for himself, he's slowly but surely catching up onto that 1k difference that he has now with Aatrox, and he's gonna start, you know, building his items, slowly getting there, then he's gonna upgrade even more. So all in all, even if you fall 2 to 3k behind MOUZ, you're still relevant enough with that draft from Fnatic.
And eventually, you're going to have it so you're gold deficient from the Ornn items. When you ever have the ornaments that he hands out, it's Christmas Day for him. He's going to make everyone that much more powerful, where a gold deficit might not mean as much. You have a 2,000, 3,000 gold lead, sure, for MOUZ, but once Ornn passes out those extra items and extra stats, it pretty much is negated at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like MOUZ having the right idea of trying to snowball the early game champs. You see that leader, the second he has that gunblade, he's going in, he wants to fight. He will take these chaotic fights any day, but bot lane.
Good Black Shield comes in from promisq, not going to be able to pull back in with the stretching strikes. They burn through to try to see if they can get him. Get the knockup as well. They burn down Jeskla, but Obsess was on the other side to immediately answer back onto the AD carry. They're too far away. It's the Goon Squad. Leader and Obsess always gang up together to make sure they can pad their KDAs and start the snowball rolling.
This is getting now really hard for Fnatic to play around because yes, they have the right idea here. Dan has sneaked through beautiful black shield rather onto Jeskla. The Moonlight Vigil is gonna go down and make the pop damage, and then the cleanup crew arrives just in time. And again, you see MagiFelix is torn between what to do. He always goes halfway there and then returns back, meaning he doesn't get any hits on the opponent tower. He doesn't end up pushing the wave where leader doesn't fall further behind. And he also doesn't have any impact on the fight that just happened because it's already over before he gets there. So we see the indecisiveness coming in from the Fnatic mid laner, and this might hurt them in this mid game.
Especially because when you keep in mind, I mentioned before, the summoner spells that Fnatic went for. Safety was their game. They wanted to be able to keep xMatty and MagiFelix alive more, but they're down a TP to leader. They can be forced around the map. It's a split push option MOUZ could always go for, but they have elements to be able to jump onto xMatty like this. Even with an exhaust, it does not matter. Leader is out of control, trying to dodge away from what Fnatic are going to be able to go for the dive. Ignite's taking it away. He's healing up. No! Flips back to be able to get out of there, but he's going to be chopped down by the Ornn Horn. Pride barely survives from the turret, but man, leader almost had the fancy feet. And Pride, you gotta get out of there. You gave a free kill to Tolkin. Tolkin saying, I can do what leader did. Watch me 1v3 myself. Getting enough damage onto Bravado in the backline. Dan gonna see if it can stretch him back, bounce him around for a while with the exhaust ticking itself. They finally chopped down Aatrox, but man, that was a lot burned by Fnatic where they only came out even.
And that was so good because yes, you said Tolkien was like, I can do what leader did but better, so I can 1v3, but he took so much time out of the Fnatic members down that bot side where Jeskla and promisq were able to annihilate the mid lane towers. And Obsess is in the top lane with Shirley taking yet another one. This is why MOUZ is prioritizing leaders Akali. This madman dived 2v1, gets a kill, and takes all the resources of 3 members of Fnatic to try and kill him. Tolkien then wastes even more time from Fnatic while MOUZ are dispatching of tower after tower. 4,500 gold in the lead right now for MOUZ. And they can start dictating that mid game. We said whoever takes the reins of the mid game will most likely be the winner of this game. And so far, it looks so good for the Prime League team.
And this looks even worse for the side of UK.
No.
It is going to be an Infernal Soul that is on the line. MOUZ couldn't have asked for a better dragon to be the one that is on the Rift. The amount of damage leader's already doing. Add that with Obsess here. Black Cleaver for both him and Tolkin. Doesn't matter if you're tanky. You're not tanky enough to be able to stay alive through the armor shred that they provide.
Yeah, and of course you see how the Ornn is stacking armor. Well, MOUZ is alright, we'll just put the Fed Akali versus the Ornn, and since he doesn't have any signs of the Ma on him, that means the leader can slowly but surely melt through him as well. They're using that Fed Akali around the map so wisely to get even more advantages for themselves. There is so much vision around the bot side of the map. They're moving around as a unit, and they look so dangerous.
This puts Fnatic in a bad position. They were able to win last time against Suba with clean macro play. But this time around, they have been forced around constant skirmishes from MOUZ. Always looking for the fights, always looking for the picks. MagiFelix gets the bad end of a bad blade.
They're not giving them any magical. MagiFelix was like, ooh, I can try and take the first tower in the game because no one is around here. Remember what we said, the Pantheon, you have to keep his ultimate at the back of your mind all the time. When the cooldown is up and running, you can't make this side lane plays because Obsess is gonna play around Tolkin and around Leader on these side lanes whenever they're in trouble, or in this case, whenever they want to chase for a kill.
Now it's pushing down mid lane. They're forcing xMatty, who's trying to push and get another turret in the bot lane for Fnatic, onto the inhibitor at 19 minutes into the game. Even with only a 4,500 gold lead, they are still at the base of Fnatic.
This is scary stuff. Aatrox mid game with almost his death stance complete. Akali, who I'm seeing a needless lads rod in there, and I'm getting very, very scared for the second item completion from Leader. Oh no, MagiFelix. Oh no.
MagiFelix, did you not learn your lesson? How many times we gotta teach you this lesson, old man? Can't step up like that, and MOUZ punish him, and they'll turn immediately onto this turret.
Come on, man, he's not that old. He's just 20 years old.
But that's what Leader's saying. He's stepping too far out, man. you can't do it. Come on.
Another kill going over to the Akali. My eyes are oh no. My eyes were peeled into his inventory, and I'm like, surely this is going to be a death cup that you're building right there. And indeed it is. Leader is ruthless. This is a very ballsy move to pull out, going for the death cap, not caring to go at all for a sort of hourglass or a more defensive build such as the Banshee that will keep you alive from all the CC. I want to see if the Leader will be able to pull this off. Since he's so far ahead, he should, but if he gets caught up in all that CC that a Fnatic's team has, it could be lethal for him purchasing that death cap.
But trouble. Think about it this way. The best CC is death, right? The Leader only has to kill them, and they can't CC him.
I'm just waiting to see the next big fight break out. I think Fnatic champions need at least 2 items to start team fighting right there. This is why you see them playing very passive. Now, there's been a lot of trouble with teams where they're like, it's fine guys, we're scaling into the late game, but they lose too much early and mid that it's actually impossible to pull back from a deficit like this. Of course, if it's possible for a team to come back, it is Fnatic.
Very
the
true.
UKLC finals, they were down 0-2 and they reverse swept BTXL. So if there's one team that can do it, that is them, and this is only 5,500 gold that MOUZ are ahead. So I'm sitting waiting for the death cap to be completed onto the Azir. We see the Hurricane already onto the Kalista, so that's good news. Waiting for the Azir to ring the bell, and I think we might see an engage from Fnatic soon.
We mentioned before, Ornn, how pivotal he is for Fnatic to be able to survive this deficit, where he's going to now be able to start giving people items, try to see if he can scale it up. I think it's at level 13 he gets access to that. They nerfed it just a little bit to make it so it's not as easy, but that's going to give a lot of gold efficiency to Fnatic that will make up for the loss they have against MOUZ. If they can stop the bleeding hemorrhage a little bit, and make it so that around this Baron it's delayed, MOUZ cannot keep putting the pressure on them and keep putting pedal to the metal, full gas ahead. That is how Fnatic are going to be able to win this game, if I will win the next fight, which would have to be around like the next 10 minutes. But this is the big thing, is they have to then contend with a possibility of an Infernal Soul on MOUZ.
Yeah, and this is what we said. If MOUZ are stuck in these dragons, eventually Fnatic are going to have to come out of hiding and try to fight MOUZ. Now the thing is that Fnatic will want to fight because they will have the death cap. Hopefully, you see how everyone is allowing the Azir to get these ones while xMatty just yoinked the cannon minion away from his mid laner when his mid laner needs death cap. All right, I see you, xMatty. You're one of these guys. Okay. Once this is complete, I do believe that the Fnatic are going to be pulling the trigger. So MOUZ need to make a play quickly before that happens. Now, I see that the Ornn is going for the Iceborne Gauntlet, and I do like this choice because since MOUZ is so squishy, it can have an impact to have that sheen in there and that slow to, again, not allow them to get further into the backline. Jeskla is waiting for the call.
He's waiting for the call, and they are on a timer. The first item has been picked up by Pride. He's been able to give himself, because he got level 13, waiting to get one more level to start giving items to his teammates and make them a little bit more impactful. Leader, you're too far out, and look at the damage that he's able to put down on top of him. Even though it's just the tank, he had to use both his charges on his ult to be able to escape, and then they go into the backline onto Obsess, getting a lot of damage. Fnatic are the ones who catch MOUZ a little bit too far out, but they got TP on Leader if they need to. Again, they turn it around and get a lot of damage. They blow up Obsess, but here's Leader staying in the fight, finding MagiFelix, but MagiFelix slaps back and gets the kill. That's Tolkin rains hell on the other team, gets Pride, chasing him down, making sure that nobody's going to be able to get out alive. He is the world ender, flashing over the wall. Does he jolo? Yes, he does. He wants to be able to get that last final kill onto Pride before he turns back and gets the Baron.
And again, it's a very chaotic fight here from Fnatic, and we said you gotta work together as a unit and as a team to keep your carries alive. xMatty goes too far forward, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he gets rooted by either the Morgana or the Pantheon and gets blown up by that Aphelios. And see, Leader's death cap did hurt him right there because with only one CC and the Azir around, he almost ended up going down. Now, I just wish, yeah, it was promisq landing that beautiful bind right there. Roots xMatty onto the ground, and he absolutely gets annihilated by Jeskla's Aphelios, who gets the Moonlight Vigil with the Infernum, if I'm not wrong there. Oh boy, that AoE does hurt. But we have to stay positive here for Fnatic, because the fact that only the Azir and the Zac were able to almost kill Leader means that the death cap could have hurt him there. I think Fnatic is not playing to their strengths right now, because we said front to back fight. You're gonna have your front line there. MagiFelix and xMatty have to play behind. xMatty was playing way too ahead of his front line right there. It's the bind in the face, and his whole team pays for that.
And unfortunately, with Kalista, her low range can be punished by these assassins on MOUZ, where they're able to jump on. And since there's so many damage sources on MOUZ, it's hard to figure out who you want to focus. Do you want to take out Leader? Do you want to take out Obsess? But what about Jeskla? What about Tolkin? There's so many of these decision-making moments that Fnatic have that they have to decide, and it's hard when you find yourself this far now down in the hole. Baron on top of MOUZ, you are down 8,000 gold to the team that is looking to snowball and end.
I think the name of the game for Fnatic here would be whoever dives in first, because they do have 3 melees with Akali, Pantheon and Aatrox. You focus them, try to kill them, and then move on to the next person, because everyone is squishy on the side of MOUZ. So it's not necessarily a matter of trying to get through the front line to reach the carries. It's more like the carries will reach you because they want to kill you. So if they can get the perfect front to back fight, I do believe that Fnatic can still pull this off.
Pride fighting with Tolkin. This is where it gets a little bit more difficult for Aatrox to be able to get through how tanky Ornn can be. Obsess is nearby. This is a lot of commitment from Fnatic, trying to kill Tolkin, trying to take out the split pusher, but look at the rest of their base. It is being pushed in. They get the shutdown, sure, but they are losing inhibitor mid lane and in the top lane.
Fnatic, what are you doing? This is a Baron up MOUZ, and you're chasing a top laner for a shutdown. This is disastrous for the UK team right there, who are going to lose 2 inhibitor towers and an inhibitor. Oh no, this was obviously the wrong call for them right here, but they might be able to sneak in that dragon that will deny soul for MOUZ just because they have the men advantage
They
here.
have to
Leader.
do that. They need
sneaking in.
something. They're going to lose that top. Leader continues the push. He is threatening Fnatic with a game-ending decision, saying, if you want to take soul from us, sure, I'm going to try to take out this Nexus turret. They get a lot of damage with the help of that cannon minion. They do deny soul at least, but it's at a massive cost to Fnatic.
Because we said Fnatic could deny the soul from MOUZ, but they had to commit all 4 remaining players except Pride to try and take it down, because still the 3-man from MOUZ, the 4-man from MOUZ, I'm sorry, is still stronger than the 4-man from Fnatic. So they had to commit all of these people there, and then Leader was like, alright then, if it's just only the Ornn in the base, I can possibly sneak in, Baron up a cannon meter, and potentially take another next tower down.
That's what they're gonna try to do for the side of MOUZ. Fnatic, they have at least stopped the game from ending immediately with that Infernal Soul. They've delayed the game for now. They're losing so many of their turrets and so much control of their own base. This could be what they do to keep the game delayed longer, where they have scaling options. They have Azir, they have Kalista, they got the 3 tanks that can go in front of them, but it's going to be so difficult against MOUZ, who find themselves so massively far ahead.
See, I don't necessarily really like Kalista in the late game. I find her more of a zoning ADC mid game, because you can't necessarily catch her, but it's putting too much damage down around the 20 to 25 minute mark. And now going towards the late game, Leaders is doing whatever he wants.
Oh, and they don't get the knock-up with Fate's Call, but they're at least going to get it with Depth Charge. Leader dodging away, trying to have the fancy footwork, uses perfect execution again as an escape tool, but that is worth it. You got a Nexus turret.
Okay, Leader is playing Fnatic in his own hands at the moment. Oh,
this is an engage. This is a lot being used by the side of Dan. Going to be able to survive as Obsess. Took a lot of damage from MagiFelix, but look at this. With Exhaust, it helps him get the killing spree into the back line. This is where they jumped in the Ornn, but it's going to be Tolkin and Jeskla raining down so much damage. He's just going right into the back line. Bravado going to barely be able to survive for the time being, as Tolkin takes a lot of damage from MagiFelix. Be able to get out of the fight 1-for-1 at the moment. Obsess for Pride. MagiFelix wants to find someone else. They jump onto Jeskla, but not enough damage just yet to be able to finish him off. The flash fade from Jeskla! What in the world was that play? He has to go golden to be able to survive and gets shut down by xMatty. They overcommitted. Leader, do you do the same as well? Do you hop back in? You have Tolkin on the other side. Do you decide better of it? Not wanting to commit just yet. It's Bravado. Wants to be able to get a little bit of vision control, but they gotta be careful. Here comes the World Ender. They jump into the backline, get a lot of damage on the promisq and immediately blow him up. Looking for Leader. The Leader jumps himself right into MagiFelix. They kite back Tolkin. He cannot finish off anybody, and somehow they are still alive. Fnatic have cornered Tolkin. He's got nowhere to run, and Pride has showed up. Gets the kill and revenge.
Fnatic, you're like 10 minutes too late, but you're showing up. I thought that engage was gonna go south really quickly, but Dan gets into the back line of MOUZ because they're all alone right there. Eyes on xMatty, because the second that the second TP right now starts being channeled, he's hitting the super minion. I'm like, what? He's lost so much power right there from his team. He was just constantly auto-attacking that super minion that the TP is getting channeled on, that he missed so many auto-attacks that could have been crucial into winning this fight even harder. Nevertheless, the chase ended up working for Fnatic, and they got some very crucial sat-downs onto the carries. Now you see 3 items onto the Azir, 3 items onto the Kalista, and they're the ones pulling the plays because 2 members without TP from MOUZ are down.
Trying to see if they can get this.
Oh, here
is Grand Starfall. Can you burn down the Baron in time? Can't even get it over the wall to be able to get the damage. MagiFelix going to be able to take down Jeskla. It is going to be the smite. Win out by xMatty. Rends it down with the kills into the backline. Fnatic have come back in the game.
Oh my god, I cannot believe actually Fnatic can this around without MagiFelix for the for the
he dies, but they get the Baron. I'm gonna take that if I'm Fnatic.
Present. But this is a 3k only goal lead for MOUZ. Fnatic has closed the gap. It only took them 2 inhibitors and a Nexus Tower for them to get some confidence. Oh,
Looking for the pick on the Tolkien. Couldn't get anything to land. None of the CC had connected. They wanted to get that because this is what's about to come up.
They still pulled the ultimate though, and there is a dragon spawning in 20 minutes. Obsess does not have a teleport because he's the jungler, neither does he have an ult. That means Fnatic could have the first foot into this river and getting some vision for their engage.
The Pride switched over to heal. doesn't have the TP just yet. He's going to have to burn that to be able to get into this one. That is why he's marching towards the dragon, wanting to fight over Infernal Soul. MOUZ really need to be able to get this. This has been struggling for them. Everyone is scaling up on the side of Fnatic and getting more difficult to be able to kill. Dan doesn't go in on time, and it is the Infernal Soul for MOUZ.
A look at the base. MagiFelix had backed. He was all the way into Fountain. They couldn't really engage that fight. One of their two very crucial carries was missing. So you kind of have to take the L and try to pull out another play like the one they did 2 minutes ago. Baron is still onto them, so they could look to pressure some towers with them. Slow and methodical is the name of the game for Fnatic from now on. Now they have the items they needed. Now they've got their tanks stocked up with defensives and they can play the front to back. Now they're the ones asserting all that pressure.
They're looking for the pick onto the two flanks, the two assassins. They got the knock-up on the leader, but they decide instead, focus Obsess, the one who has smite, get rid of him and what he is able to be capable of and give the kill to xMatty.
Yep, one man down. Fnatic again can move around the map. It's just small breaths of air that Fnatic needed into this game. They were too choked too quickly by MOUZ with all of these heavy mid-game scaling champs getting kills early on, such as Tolkin onto that Aatrox and Lida onto that Akali, that they just didn't have the chance to show how strong Fnatic's composition is mid to late game. And even though sure, Aphelios does scale more than Kalista, that Kalista is fed. She's ahead in CS, she's ahead in levels, and Jeskla is yet to get that perfect ultimate. We saw the pop in one fight, but other than this, he hasn't had the room to put the auto attacks down because his team is just melting away too quickly.
Now he has a Guardian's Angel to try to see if he can at least survive. Like you said, they all die too fast. If he can survive and be able to get enough damage into the backline, maybe, just maybe, MOUZ can survive. But this is at the point of the game where we talked about before. Fnatic have the power. They might be down 3,000, but all of that has been made up by all of these Ornn items. Only one not having it is Bravado.
Oh, look at this play. That is so clever coming in from MOUZ. They're going to threaten getting a third inhibitor tower down the bot lane with Lida. Tolkin has also pushed a wave up top. So they're trying to force Fnatic to split, which is something that their composition cannot do because you're playing the front to back. The 3 tanks with 2 carries. So you can't split your team around where you're going to be losing to the chaos that the MOUZ champions thrive in.
And this game has been chaotic. Last game for Fnatic, it was clean, it was calculated, it was cool. This time, MOUZ have been all over the place. They've tried to make flashy plays, and I think that has put them now in a position where Fnatic can remain cool, remain calm, remain collected. They have the composition to find a good fight and win here in this late game.
It's sort of over pushing the boundaries, right? It's the so-called limit testing, but in a good manner here. It's how far can you pressure a team to break them, and MOUZ are trying to find these break points for Fnatic. It did work very well into the mid game. Now they're trying to find a different approach to the game, which I find very successful for the composition that MOUZ has. You know, with the Morgana and Aphelios, you can push in a wave and have your 2 split pushes on the sides, obsess onto the trigger in case one of them is in trouble. And you know that Fnatic cannot actually split around. So when the Baron is up, when the Elder Dragon is up, Fnatic are going to have to make a decision. Do we lose inhibitors or do we force a fight?
50 seconds until Baron spawns. MOUZ have been waiting for this. They want to see if they can force a fight, but Fnatic would be very comfortable in this. It's like you said, Trouble. Instead, MOUZ are all about setting up a side lane, saying, we're going to feign a fight, sure, but really, we want to make it so that you are pressured to go into one spot of the map, then leader ends the game.
Oh, they know that Lida is going to be towards that bot side. They have the time to swap around, so they're trying to bait him to push that wave. They could make a pick here.
But they don't have TP on MagiFelix or
They
Bravado.
know he's there.
They have to make it so that at least with the spot on leader, they then make the call saying, if we can force a fight now, maybe we can win.
Leader, you are so clever. 2000 IQ, this guy. He knew that something fishy was going on, so he didn't pull the trigger. Remember, teleport on Tolkin is not there. The flank is though, because she's pushed way too far into Fnatic's jungle.
Tolkin's just gonna
This might be the game-breaking fight.
Tolkin doesn't care about the Baron. He wants to be able to end the game. They have TP from Leader. Leader going to try to see if they can threaten it. Baron is down to 50%. They are able to get a little bit of damage onto the backline coming in from Pride as he focuses away Leader. Look at Obsess. You got in too early. Had to go golden to be able to survive. They want to take out the jungler before they can get the Baron. They're going to be able to heal him up, but there it is. They get the Ren to be able to pick up the kill, and now they got to secure the Baron. Nobody's got it. It's secured by Jeskla. Everyone else is in the fight trying to get away, but it's MOUZ with Baron. They will sacrifice Tolkin because now they have the power to win.
How in the world? Jeskla might not be getting the kills, he might not be getting the flashy plays, but he ends up getting the Baron, and that is huge for MOUZ because the base of Fnatic is bleeding right now. Tolkin had the time to take the inhibitor, I think, or maybe it was the minions, my bad, but he gets the flank. While Leader is too busy trying to run from an angry Ornn, I just want to see what happens in the pit, because yes, they kill Obsess right here, so that's great news for Fnatic. And then the Rend?
They had no smite. They had no smite. The Ren was already used by xMatty on Obsess.
Why? Oh no, we have another one.
Another fight. This time, it's Elder Dragon. I feel like we've
Leader.
been in this place before. This is not looking so good. Leader wants to be able to get onto xMatty, but here comes Obsess. Can they lock down anybody? Holding onto the run. It's going to be secured by Obsess, stealing away yet another objective for MOUZ, and they will take everyone down on Fnatic. Burn them down with the help of Elder Dragon. This is it for MOUZ.
They steal their Baron, they steal their Elder, and they're most likely stealing the first place in the group from Fnatic. MOUZ are showing why ballsy builds and ballsy plays win you the game here, Magical.
Absolutely nuts. 2 steals in a row. One by Jeskla, one by Obsess. They will be dominating this Group D. They are more than likely going to be your #1 seed of this group.
I actually cannot believe it. I saw the fight coming in from Fnatic on the bot side. I'm like, surely not. Surely Fnatic cannot turn this back around. And to be honest, I feel like MOUZ slapped a little post-it note on their face with a big no onto their forehead. So that was a great showing from MOUZ. Still, Fnatic looked scary, but
they look scary, but they have weaknesses early. And MOUZ are a team that punishes in the early game. They had some difficulties in the mid game. It looked like Fnatic were coming back, but back-to-back objective steals out of MOUZ get them the victory. For now, we're going to toss it to a break. When we come back, Trouble, we got to break that game down because, oh boy, was it a roller coaster.
Magic.
Vous comprenez maintenant pourquoi j'ai créé la Magic? En un clip, vous devenez Magic.
La monture avec ses 2 clips pour 149 €.
C'est Magic.
Dispositif médical.
This is my creed. The boots that make me faster. The items that make me stronger. The potions that I drink. I get the best to be more powerful, so my champion rises to the top. But all this leveling up means nothing if I don't level up myself. It's the healthy potions I drink in real life that make me stronger. Because you can only rule the game when you realize you are your most important champion. To play like a pro, eat like a pro.
display of skill.
My axe is ready. Witness true strength.
A gift from me to you. Ooh, ooh.
Another soul lost.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
You stay on my mind, think about you all the time. Got to get to know you well. If you kiss, then I will tell. You stay on my mind, think about you all the time. Got to
Hello, good
get to
dude.
know
Come
you
on.
well. If you kiss, then I will tell.
Okay.
You stay on my mind, think about you all the time. Got to get to know you well. If you kiss, then I will tell. You stay on my mind, think about you all the time. Got to get to know you.
I'm out of control. Don't know what this world will take me. I'm out of control. And I think it's gonna break me. I'm out of control. Don't know where this world will take me. I'm out of control. And I think it's gonna break me.
Welcome back into European Masters and Trouble. We gotta break down that game. That was insane. There's no other way to say it. You have a game with a chaotic early game from the side of MOUZ. You expect that. You expect them double assassins to try to play where they can snowball out of control, but then there's bad calls, a couple bad fights here and there, and then suddenly Fnatic's in the lead, but they lose because of 2 steals.
I don't necessarily think they were in the lead, but they had the composition to be able to push these teamfights around objectives. And this is how it started, you know, with Lida going for the death cap, not the Banshee, or the Hourglass to try and stay a little bit more safe and alive during the fights. And then Fnatic get a great fight here, and xMatty is like, hey, I'm gonna frontline for everyone, promise you. Cherry on top of the cake, that bind right there seals the deal. Jeskla is getting some free damage with the Moonlight Vigil, and it all goes south for Fnatic. Then, I think this was the fight. This was indeed the fight.
was.
Both the Zac and the Kalista, I think, used the Rend and the Smite for the fight right there, and they allowed Jeskla to sort of steal away the Baron. That was so disastrous because it was going so well. I would just want to see. No!
Yeah, Rend
Wait.
was used on Obsess. That's what it was used on. And so it was on the wrong target, thinking, let's take away the smite. We have a smite on Zac, not realizing that that was the same idea that Zac had, saying, I can
And
use
look at
smite to be able to kill him.
Back.
And then-
Magical back to back. They steal the dragon.
I can't believe
They
this.
get in there, and Obsess steals the dragon away. He is the same exact level with Dan, and with so much, of course, damage piling onto that dragon, this is a 100% 50-50. So hard to predict which one of the two junglers is going to secure it right there. But I think even if it was Fnatic securing it, the fight was pretty much done because there were only 2 members alive from them.
So now, with that victory, MOUZ have guaranteed that they are going to be able to get out of the group into the quarterfinals as well. There's only now 2 possibilities for tiebreakers in this group. That is between Fnatic and MOUZ, seeing if MOUZ somehow loses to Isuba and then Fnatic are able to beat Energy Pot Wizards, or if... Actually, I think that's it. I think that's really all you have to rely on, is somehow having it in that scenario where you have a lot of luck from the side of Fnatic.
Yeah, and I mean, that was a very long game that Fnatic played previously with Wizards, so they looked pretty well polished here. We said between Fnatic and MOUZ, whoever's going to have the more great polished, the great aggressive, proactive, early to mid game, whoever wins that, they're going to be the winners. MOUZ grabbed that straight off the bat, and they ended the game with it. Now, you got to play clean versus the Wizards to not have to play through any tiebreakers, because that would be devastating for Fnatic.
Well, also for Fnatic, they have to make sure that they beat the Wizards, because if they lose to them, they would be tied. And if they're tied with the Wizards, they would lose in the head-to-head matchup 2-0. There would not be a tiebreaker. It'd be Wizards going through. But that's going to be it from you and I, Trouble. We're going to toss it over to Excoundrel and Celtic Tiger, who will take over for Isuba versus Energy Pot Wizards. So stick around. We'll be back for more action of Group D.